Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington. If you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so those of us who follow the sport figured that this fight was coming for a little while. Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. These guys started out training at the same gym, down an American top team down in Florida. Neither one of them are no longer there, but throughout the years, a lot of trash talk has ensued, and both of them are at the top of the division. Tyron held the belt for a long time. So as Colby was making his way up the ranks, you started to see some bad blood develop between them, a lot of trash talk. So you figured it was just a matter of time before we saw these guys get in there, lock in the cage, and determine who the better fighter was. And now we get to see that. So, Tyron Woodley. Let's take a look at him and you think, heavy wrestling background, right? That's where he came up in the ranks. That was his first exposure to combat sports. Collegiate wrestler. So he comes over, makes the jump into MMA, and the first thing that you know that he really has to work on is going to be his striking. And that's what he did. So over the years, you've seen his striking continue to develop, continue to grow, right? And even though he comes from this heavy wrestling background, when we look at his highlight reel, it's not packed full of big wrestling moves. It's not packed full of him being on top of guys, doing ground and pound for long durations of the fight. It's his striking, believe it or not, right? It's that explosive right hand. I mean, one of the things about that he quickly found out as he was training his striking was that he can close distance incredibly fast, faster than almost anybody, which always catches his opponents off guard. And he has a very strong, very powerful right hand. Man, he shoots that thing in there like a laser beam, right? When he's at his best, and when everything's clicking, you think about the knockouts against Robbie Lawler. You think about the shots against Darren Till, dropping Stephen Thompson, right? I mean, when he lands that right hand, when he's on, it's as devastating a weapon as anybody has in the game. People are worried about that right hand landing, but they can't defend against it and commit to protecting against it like they normally could because he has such dominant wrestling. Now, it's true, we don't see him use it a lot, but when he wants to, it's there. Now, unfortunately, a little bit later in his career, getting a little bit older, and he's starting to suffer from this thing that we see a lot of fighters suffer, a lot of older fighters suffer from, which is he's not pulling the trigger as much, keeping his hands in his pockets a little bit instead of letting them go. And he knows it. A lot of people have criticized him for it recently on social media, on his Instagram Live. Even fans were dropping in a lot of questions, a lot of comments saying that he needs to let his hands go. And he said as much. He admitted to it right in the Instagram Live. He said, hey, I know you guys are saying this and I need to do it. I'm promising you, I'm telling you, that's what I'm going to do going forward. We've heard that before, remains to be seen. Colby Covington, on the other hand, in a lot of ways, he's got a very similar story. Came up with a collegiate wrestling background and then actually went down there to American top team in Florida. He was actually brought in to help Tyron Woodley with one of his training camps. So he was paid as a sparring partner for training camp. That was his exposure to MMA, realized how much he liked it, and just started to go full force. Now, exact same story in the sense that he's got this heavy wrestling background and he needs to develop his striking. Except he developed his striking in a completely different way, right? He's got this natural, just incredibly dominant cardio. Doesn't have the explosiveness of Woodley. So he doesn't build his game off of explosiveness and athletic ability. He's got cardio, builds it around that. Okay, so he uses that cardio and applies incredible pressure, and he's got a really high work rate. So when you go in there and you're going up against Colby Covington, you can expect that man is going to be in your face all night. And he is going to be throwing a lot of strikes. Primarily punches, but it's going to be a lot of strikes. And he's continuing to work and develop that game. His jab's getting better. His straight left's getting better. The right hook is continuing to evolve and grow. So his striking is improving. And he's one of those guys that kind of subscribes to the Diaz brothers style of striking in the sense that he doesn't try to knock you out with every punch. Doesn't try to get the highlight reel and wobble you with every punch. He goes out there, he's throwing his shots at 60, 70%, but he's throwing 100 of them. He's just constantly moving forward, constantly wearing you down with the shots, and then mixes in the takedown. Gets into the clinch, gets a takedown, just changes elevation, goes for a double leg and gets a guy down. And then with that heavy wrestling background, he's able to be heavy in top position, work that ground and pound, and he just dominates guys. Just wears them down and breaks them. Right? Vince Lombardi had a good saying, fatigue will make cowards of us all. And it's true. If you've ever been in a fight and you've had a man in front of you and you've gotten tired, oh, it is a horrible feeling. And when you look at Colby Covington, it's like, man, this guy is never going to get tired. So, that's a rough one. It's going to be a long night for Woodley, in my opinion. So how's this fight going to actually play out when these guys step in there? Well, in a lot of ways, I think it's going to look like fights that we've seen each man in before. As far as Colby's concerned, I think it's going to look a lot like his fight with Rafael dos Anjos. He's going to be able to come in there. He's going to constantly move forward. He's going to apply that pressure. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's going to be able to work his game, right? Why? Because Woodley's going to let him work that game. Woodley, if you see him recently, what does he do in his fights? He tries to go for timing, tries to throw that right hand as a counterpunch. He doesn't mind backing up and giving up space, trying to figure out the distance and the timing and the angle to land his shot. And Colby's going to move forward. So that just seems to me like a given on what's going to happen. That's not going to play out well for Woodley for two reasons. Number one, Colby's going to eat up all that space and he's not going to stay at the distance that he wants. And two, they're fighting in that small cage, which means he's going to be able to back him up against the cage a lot faster than in the bigger cage. So that's going to be the general complexion of the fight. It's going to be Colby moving forward, applying pressure, throwing a lot of punches, Woodley backing up, looking for that big shot. Now he's going to throw that big shot more than he has in the recent past. I absolutely believe that when he says he's going to let his hands go, particularly early in the fight. He's going to let it go, but letting it go and landing it are two different things. And I don't really think he's going to land it that much, right? Part of the problem with Woodley striking is that it's not versatile. So he's only got so much to worry about. Colby sees that coming. I think he's going to be all right in that regard. So I think he's going to be able to avoid the big shots of Woodley. I think he's going to be able to land just strike after strike, punch after punch of his own, wear Woodley down, get him in the clinch, hang on him, drag him down, be in top position, all of that. And as the fight goes on, then I think Woodley's going to keep his hands in his pockets a little more because he'll be fatigued. He'll be trying to prevent against the takedown and things like that. So in that regard, it'll be like his fight against Usman. It'll be like fights where he just kind of gets overwhelmed. He just kind of gets overworked a little bit. I think that's how this one's gonna go. Don't really see a stoppage happening. Maybe you could get one late. Maybe Colby goes in there and he's able to really wear him down, really grind on him, get a late stoppage. But that's not really his game either, right? His game is built for the duration. It's built for the distance. And he just wants to go in there and break people down. I see that happening in this fight. I'm going with Colby Covington. Is there a chance that Woodley could land that big shot? Yeah, absolutely. There's a chance. He's got that real, true, legit knockout power in that right hand. But I think this one plays out as a decision for Colby. So let me know what you guys think. How do you think this one's going to play out? If Woodley does lose, that's going to be 3 losses in a row for him. I mean, what's his future in the division? With a loss to Usman, loss to Burns, and then he comes up with a loss to Colby Covington. If it were to play out that way. And if Colby wins, what has he gotten? Is he right in line for the winner between Usman and Burns? Or is he going to have to get another win before he gets that next shot? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.